علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا زدنا علما فقهنا إذا علمتنا. Question: the youth of today are struggling to find a spouse. How can this be facilitated? Can it be permissible for them to talk or approach someone they like? The look of in view of marriage. This should be looked at as regulated, by the need. I know that the tradition nowadays, even for the need, has been expanded a lot, which I have a lot of problem about it. Okay, I'm not going to share my experience with you. I have some, I'm sorry to say, bad experience with this matter. When you say this is halal to be done or whatever, and this is going to be abused, which is. For me, I don't know about the others, I don't like my daughter or my sister to go and speak with someone, for a long time, in an intention, to get married. Okay, this is needed. Yes, it is needed to look, to speak perhaps. Okay, but here, what is the cut-off point that you are going to put, okay? Because the scholars, they said whenever he make up or whenever she makes up her decision to get married with that particular person, it's prohibited to have any relation till they have the nikah, the contract, okay? Got this point? And here, for the purpose of engagement or for considering marriage, they have the right to look. They have the right to speak in very conservative way. Why should I say conservative? You see, I have this experience, I would like to know about the previous people, and their history or whatever, And one time my brother, told me there's a book, called so and so. It's speaking about the old people. You see, from the language of the book, I know this is not old one, this is new one. How? Because when he described how this man and woman, they have their relation and whatever, I know, out of my experience, the old writers, the old people, they don't have this way of expression, okay? Whereas the new one, what I'm trying to say, nowadays, we are in a tough time, speaking openly, about all these matters, or whatever. And I just knew that this book is not old one and this new one because of the way of expressing some of those that I may feel ashamed, to speak about, But nowadays, everyone, just speak about them openly. What I'm trying to say, we have changed a lot, okay, to give legal Islamic permission according to our practice. I don't find it convenient. Is it needed? Yes, it is needed, as the Prophet ﷺ said, to have a look, to speak, okay. But to what extent? I'm sorry, I might not be able to give you the cut-off, but I look at it to have it the least possibility to have it done, because I see my standard, not you, my standard, I see it as not correct, of deciding to what extent we should permit this point to be. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not able to answer this question precisely, but I give you a hint about it. It's permitted Islamically by the Prophet ﷺ. Whenever he has a decision or she has a decision, they should stop practicing it. I see my scale on my standards for this, it's not applicable because apparently in general speaking nowadays we tend to expand, and feel free, to have it practiced. Other question? So we'll carry on, inshallah. We stop at I'm going quickly to remind you about the benefits. Is it the benefit of your children, firstly, to match the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wants to, this art to be well, constructed, by human. The second point, to fulfill the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of having a lot of followers, the hereafter. And the third one, to have a biased person, biased child, to make dua after his death. The fourth point, we did not speak about it, and يموت الولد قبله, the death of the child before him, and by this he's going to be to intercede for his parents, as mentioned some hadith. He brought the hadith speaking about this. And he brought this story that one of the righteous people, he used to be given the offer, to get married, and keep refusing. All of a sudden, when he woke up, he said, I want to get married. And when they were surprised, he said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant me with a son that intercedes for me in the hereafter. Then he mentioned that he dreamed, about a dream, where he has the hard and difficult time in the hereafter, and a group of children, boys and girls, they came, helping those people who are stuck, and feel thirsty, and he was not able to find a person to help him because he did not have any of them, as a child of his, and that's why he was interested. Okay, perhaps this good experience, but for myself and for the others, I don't like to wait till we have this. We have this mentioned to us, by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, either directly or from the Holy Book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for this, we don't need a lot of these matters, even though these are going to be supportive, we need them sometimes, but for such a matter, since it has been mentioned by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, perhaps this is enough for us, to work in it. So these are the the 4 points of the first benefit. The first benefit was the children, and these are the 4 points. Now we'll go to the second benefit, to the protection, to get yourself protected of the shaitan and anything. And here we say protection. Some of us, may feel that we are speaking about the fahisha, the adultery. This is not necessary to be the case. When you have illegal here, when you have your heart, have certain wishes, this by itself is effective. Here the Prophet ﷺ said, telling us about one which may be looked from some of us, as trivial, and nazratu sahmun masmumun min sihab iblis. When you have this look, this light, when you have poisoned arrow comes. I think so. When you have poisoned arrow, that's when it comes to your heart, to attack your heart. Directed from iblis, the head, as if when I have this nazar, this look, I subjected myself to be affected by the arrows, the poison arrows from the head, the chief, of all devils, to try to attack me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whoever doing it for my sake, I'm going to substitute it for him by a very beloved taste, or desire in himself, is going to find it in the hereafter. So here, even though the most dangerous and the enormity is to commit adultery, but all those matters that, I'm sorry to say, we malpractice them a lot. These are harmful. These are without, don't think that they are without payment or without something taken away from you. You are losing a lot, and you may lose your happy time, praying. You may lose your enjoyment when you recite Quran. You may lose your khushu'. You may lose your good habit. you may use, you may forget your zikr, you know, that you do it in the morning, and you name it, okay? You may spend very, very bad night, you may be prevented, you know, from the good dreams that you used to dream about. You may forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you name it, okay? And here you have significant amount of malpractice. Many of them may be dictated on us because of the environment or the way people they speak nowadays or whatever. Some of them by us, you know, done by us, you know, and the net result of all of these matters that we are going to find ourselves, you know, getting more far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are going to find ourselves have difficult time, you know, to adjust ourselves, you know, for our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are going to find ourselves unhappy, okay? Because any believer, you know, when he has those things that, as the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever is going to go around in your chest, you know, and you hate people, you know, to get knowledge of it, you know, this is called ithm, this is a sin, okay? And just look at the description of the Prophet ﷺ when he said that it goes around your chest, you know, and you hate people, you know, to know this from you. This by itself, you know, it's a psychological problem. There is a sickness, there is a disease here. I'm not telling you to tell everyone, no, just keep covering yourself, you know, keep making certain, but here you have a problem. Okay, so again, what I'm trying to say is about the second fa'idah of, or the second benefit of marriage. I don't look at it so to tell you, even some Muslims, you know, they tell me that they commit adultery, you know, in the past, you know, which, to be honest with you, I don't expect, you know, to hear this. But here, I know about this problem, but I know about the other problem, even of those of us, you know, who did not have this bad experience or malpractice. They have a lot of malpractice, you know, of making your heart more stiff, making yourself, you know, your spirit, and you name it, you know, and all of these matters. Don't tell me that they will not affect. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he said this a poison arrow, I look at them, you know, how harmful, that the significant amount of damage that is going to affect, you know, the soul, the one, you know, by these matters. I may not be able, you know, to explain further, but I see myself and the other, we suffer a lot, you know, of this, you know, in our time. And he highlighted, this is for the one who still have some of his nature, some of his fitrah, you know. And I have heard it, you know, from some person, you know, when they commit adultery, they feel really sad and sorry about it right after it, you know. Whereas when you have the legal relation, you know, with marriage, you are going to feel happy, you know, and secure, you know, after it, you know. This I have heard it, you know, about the first one a lot, you know, from these people. Some people, they say, no, we don't have this, we don't experience it. So I'm not going to argue with them, you know, because the nature may change, you know, the fitrah may change, you know, and this is going to make it much worse, you know, for me when when the one, you know, commit a large or enormous sin, you know, and yet he doesn't have anything to feel unhappy, you know, in his heart. He has doubled his disaster, you know, in himself, you know. It's not only disaster, it has been doubled, you know. And to be honest with you, I have heard, you know, from some people who narrated, you know, from other people who had this adultery, you know, and how they feel bad, you know, after it. And that's what Imam al-Ghazali mentioned here, you know. And you compare it with the happiness and the relief and the security that you feel when you have it in the legal way. And that's why he brought this hadith. I think we should be aware of it, that Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, in his hadith seeks shelter or protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his hearing, sight, heart, and seeing. It's mentioned specifically in this hadith. Just to tell how serious is this problem. Okay? And another hadith, أسألك أن تطهر قلبي وتحفظ فرجي, to purify my heart and protect my private organ. Okay? And this is just to tell us about the importance, in these matters, And the Prophet ﷺ in the third hadith described how the one who has, we call in Arabic, good aql, and he is very intelligent, very intellectual person, that he feels himself, is well controlled, and how all of a sudden all of these matters, they are gone away when he is exposed to such a position, to a woman or whatever, or from the other side, okay? And this is, don't take it easy, it's too serious, okay? That's why my philosophy, anyone feeling himself that he need to get married from any side, from woman's side, or they should get married, right away. Don't listen to these people say early marriage and this or that, This has nothing to do with our religion, okay? It's a matter of your need. I heard someone, they said he was above 30, when he got married, and I don't expect that they commit any wrongdoing, because this is their need. But this, you cannot take it as a standard for everyone, okay? This may differ from one person to another, and it's a matter of need, and whenever you feel this need, you should. I'm going to tell you, I was given the offer, to get married. I was too young. No, not that story. I was too young, and my father, rahimahullah ta'ala, tend to be too fair, he doesn't like to give preference, to any of his children over the other, I have older than me 3 or 4 brothers, not get married yet, okay, and was given the offer. And I admire the answer of my father up till now. He said, if you feel that you need it really, I'm going to make you marry now. If you are not as such, I still have some other duties to be done. Okay? And this answer from him, tells me that whenever anyone has this feeling, okay, he should get married. Don't listen to those lies, or whatever, about the early marriage and this or that, okay? It's a matter of nature, it's a matter of thinking, I'm sorry to tell you, I got through some of the parents that they don't understand this from their children. I had one of my friends, who used to be in US, and when his father, came, I know about this person, I spoke with his father to make him marry, and his father was hesitant. And when that person felt that his family is not going to help him, he got married to an American Christian woman. Okay? See? And when he tried to make it work for him from the good way for him, and when he found that no one is going to listen to him, and I was one of the person got involved, to convince his father, to make him marry. Apparently, the father was not convinced, by me. And when he felt that this is almost impossible to have it from this way, inshallah, I don't have any follow-up, of his news nowadays, Inshallah, he used to make nasheed with us, and meet with us. Inshallah, is now in good shape, I don't know how, but here, what I'm trying to say, especially for the youth, you may be under tremendous amount of pressure. But don't, if it's possible, don't make this decision, change your life till the end. Okay? And here, what I observe among Muslims, in general, alhamdulillah, many of them, they raise up their children, in a very good way, memorizing Quran, going to prayer and this. And all of us out of the cycle, of this life, we'll be exposed to these storms in our life. I call them storms. And they are, perhaps we should call them nowadays hurricanes, in our life. Why? Because it's going to take away everything, But I give this advice. I don't know how you will be able to work it, Don't have a decision which is going to affect you to the rest of your life. And in my mind, if a person like me, got married to a Christian woman, he may be able to pass through this life, being Muslim, but for sure he is going to give up many of his practices. No doubt about it. He's going to have much less quality, of his children. You see? And this is my career. This is my future, okay? By this mad decision, which perhaps may be understood, I want to go by halal way, not by haram way, By this mad decision, I have changed the whole pattern of my life. This decision affected me for 60 years coming, in advance. And this is really a problem, okay? So, and that's why people, especially in the West, they don't care about this, they have the quotation freedom, more. That's why in Islam, and still in our countries, we listen to our parents. We listen to their opinion. Why? Because the young, among males and females, most of them, they look at their benefit now. He or she loves this person. Okay? Whereas the parents, I'm sorry to say it so, I know about the bad experience of some Pakistani people, and how they are forced, and I'm not speaking about it. Everything in this life, it has something good and something bad. It may be abused by some people, but generally speaking, when you have a wise parents, they have the look for your future. Okay, how is this marriage is going to continue till the end? Okay, they shouldn't be dictated, by the culture, by the tradition, by pleasing his brother or this or that. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in my opinion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this choice, in their hand, because you have limited experience, for sure. The young, he has limited experience in this life, Whereas the old one, he should be more wise, should have more experience in this life. They are going to look to your benefit, till the end. That's why I think this study was done, that's what I've heard, in the Western world, No, perhaps not in the Western. In the Muslim world, it was done this study, and they found out that those who get married, according to the Western way, the percentage of divorce, among them is going to be quite high. Whereas those who got married, according to the Oriental ways. Why? Because of this point, okay? And here, as a young person, I'm going to look to one point. Someone is concerned a lot about beauty, the other one about attitude, the third one about personality, the fourth one about... You see, I concentrate on one item, whereas myself, when I get 10 years more old, after 10 years, my interest is going to be changed. Don't argue with me, all of us. Okay? And then later on it's going to be changed. Okay? If you have materialistic, marriage, and you have it in this limited look to your need now, this for sure is not going to last for you. And this is, when I used to be in US, they told me, you hardly find anyone in the 70s, in their 70s, and they're still in their original marriage. This is almost impossible to happen, in these communities. That's what I was told. Why? This is reasonable. Why? Because I have my choice, according to my time now, for my moment now. I disregard everything. I'm not going to receive any advice from my parents or this or that, okay? And by this, my interest is going to be changed. Not going to be the same. And those among you who are 40 or 50, if you ask them, or 30 rather perhaps, you are going to find that their interest has been changing, okay? Why they don't divorce their wife? Or why the wife did not seek divorce from the husband? Because if this was chosen, by the look of the parents, and you name it, this is going to last. When it's choose only for that moment and you need, of it, this is going to be interrupted, no doubt about it. This is my experience, I may be wrong. Okay. So this was the second benefit we speak, okay? The third benefit he mentioned, this is the pattern of our religion in general. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ra'ufur Rahim. What's the meaning of Ra'ufur Rahim? Ra'uf doesn't want you to have difficulties. Ra'fa, وَلَا تَأْخُذْكُمْ بِهِمَا رَأْفَةٌ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ. This is the way I interpret it, Ra'fa, that's mean when you feel sorry about these people, you want to take away their burden, their difficulty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful in this regard the negative aspect of this mercy, to take away whatever is burdening you or you have difficulty in it or whatever, okay? Even though this is not going to be absolute 100, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may test some of us, by difficulty, by hardship. All of us, we are obliged to fast Ramadan, even though you may have, I heard, in this country and elsewhere, you may have a significant thirsty or tiredness or this or that, This is, even though it's hated for us or some of us, it may be difficult, you may have hard time in it or you name it, but this is, you should believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by this hardship or difficulty, protect you of something which is much worse. Okay. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَحْمِي عَبْدَهُ كَمَا يَحْمِي أَحَدُكُمْ مَرِيضًا. When you have a diabetic person, and his son, he loves him a lot, is going to refrain him of eating candies, or sugar, will not let anything come to his father, not because he hates his father, no, because he loves him a lot, okay? And the Prophet ﷺ said, by the same pattern, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect his faith. That's mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us much more than what we love each other, And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it prohibited on me during Ramadan to drink, Even though I'm going to suffer, I'm going to get thirsty, or this is like himya, like a diet, like something to protect me of having disease or whatever, okay? So him, okay, as I said, this is the common trend. Some people, they abuse this. Whenever they have any difficulty, will say, Ad-dinu yusrun, it's easy. And they try to find a solution for themselves, even though this is not said by Allah, not said by the Prophet, not said by any of our scholars, okay? So this is, for me, it's abusive way, and this is going to be much more harmful for me, okay? Ad-dinu yusr, the way I understand it, when I go according to my religion, this is going to make everything easy for me. Not the way that whatever I feel easy is going to be permitted for me. You see the different look, to it? When I follow my religion, it's going to make everything easy for me. Not I should find my ease, all the time. And this is, they said, maqasad al-sharia, and you name it nowadays, the purposes, of sharia that So, generally speaking, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, مَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. There is no hardship, no burden, in your religion. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of his holy names, Rasulur Raha. Okay, this is the messenger to give rest, and to make it easy for everyone. إِنَّمَا بَعْثُ بِالْحَنِيفِيَّةِ السَّمْحَةِ. I'm not here to convey all of these matters, Some people, they may feel that they should be hard, they should be difficult, they should suffer a lot, to gain the acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereas the Prophet said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَمَلُّ حَتَّى تَمَلُّ. Okay. Out of this, we don't ignore, okay, we have enjoyment, we have good time, when you get married, and this is part of what meant by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who wants to give you good time in this life, okay? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't give us, the most happy time all the time? Because a person like me, if he has this experience, he doesn't want to move, he had the hereafter, he doesn't want to move to hereafter, and this is for me is going to be much more harmful. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes make me face some difficulties, nas'alullah al-afiyah, okay? And it is one of the reasons behind it. So here, the benefit number 3 is the ease in this sharia. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that I'm not from the ruhban, rahbaniyat ummati jihad fi sabilillah, to fight in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the rahbani of my nation, not to refrain, get married. So here, we don't ignore it, but we look at it as a point of get some relief. And that's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned His favor, and how is extraordinary this matter, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. What was the first purpose put there, Not love, not mercy, not having children. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. This was the first one mentioned there. Sakina. Okay. Anyone, when he gets married, would like to have sakina, security, peaceful. Okay? Perhaps I should mention, even though it is related, I should mention Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu ta'ala, because in my understanding, the best woman ever, to supply sakina to the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I cannot help it, whenever I recite Ya ayyuhal muzammil or Ya ayyuhal muddathir, without remembering who did make the environment and make the cover, come on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I should remember. And that's why when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave her the good news, he said house. He did not say palace. In the heaven, la sakhaba fihi wa la nasab. There is no noises and it's peaceful one. No hardship and no noises, in that particular house of Sayyidah Khadija. It's almost similar to the description of the house of the Prophet ﷺ, which was established by Sayyidah Khadija in this life. Okay? And this is one of the main purposes here, and we should look for it, here to give myself relief. We are nowadays, most of us, under a lot of pressure, in the work you have pressure, when you raise up the children you have pressure, when you spend money you have pressure, and this and that, okay? And here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like to have it, in this hardship, all the time. That's why you should have period, of relief, period of breathing, period of security, and this should be the task of the two spouses, to make this house for themselves, and for their children, in this environment, to have this environment, enjoyed by everyone by this matter. This is for males especially, that they will have someone to take care of their duties, inside the house, okay? That's why I think Bukhari, Adab al-Mufrad, he narrated that Sayyidina Abu Darda kept inviting that person, every day to lunch or to dinner. Every day. One day he said, this is the last day, I used to invite you every day because your wife was sick, and now she's cured, alhamdulillah, no more invitation, okay? And this, look at the simplicity, of their invitation, and how they use to do it according to their need. Nowadays, when you invite someone, you are going to serve 4, 5, 6 types, of food, and you will not be able to, let's be honest with each other, and will not be able to make it every day, okay? Then that person will go to hell, You want to eat, you go and find. I served you one day, you go and find your way, Whereas Sayyidina Abu Darda kept, asking the Abu to come every day. I forgot for 1 month or so. Then he said, this is the last point, because I keep inviting you, because your wife was sick, and now, alhamdulillah, she is cured, you go back to your original habit, And this is, as you see, this is really going to be quite helpful, to each other when everyone has his own duty, there. The benefit number 5, he mentioned about how you get yourself. And here, all of us, without exception, we are king and rulers of ourselves, okay? And the king, as the Prophet ﷺ said, of my hand, of my foot, of my eye, and you name it. I'm the one responsible for. I am the decision maker. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. All of you, they have someone under them, under their control, and they are responsible for them. Okay. Here, this is much more bigger, Here you are more responsible, for your wife, for your children, and you should have the best decision you make. You see how foolish, some of these decisions, and how, and I'm sorry to tell you, I had this experience. I'm not here, or even back in my country, In many occasions, the spouse, they love each other, but the family of the two sides, they have different interests, which for me, this is too silly, it's too bad, to happen, okay? Here, let that person, give his decision. Let that person practice his way of handling matters, And that's why, I got this problem, back in Syria, this person, they told me about him, has been under the heavy control, of his father all the time, And I'm not exaggerating, Such a person, nice person in Syria, he tried 3, 4 times to get married and he failed. And such a person may stay single, all of it. Here, he may find illegal way or different way or disobey his father, which is not, still we have some people back in Syria, they don't have this attitude, and this very nice and very kind person who was under the control of his father, all the time. And here, and against any exaggeration, and want to tell everyone, and this should be my attitude, to obey my parents, But when a parent is going to come to me and tell me that this is his way, of handling this, I'm going to tell him, take it easy, okay? Try to lose a little bit, okay? And here we are to make everything work for everyone. And anyone who is going to have his rights abused excessively, in different way, this is going to be harmful, as I told you. And here, inshallah, I'm telling you about real story, about one of my friends, who they told me we went to make aqd al-nikah, and subhanallah, they called me, they said, did not work, don't come, okay. And then another appointment, don't come. I said, no. And really I feel bad, because such a setting may put that nice person, without marriage till the end of his life. Okay? And this, by it, you should, in the same way, give your people, freedom, to eat, if they don't harm themselves, or to go, or to, again, try to train them, to be decision makers, because you are not going to last forever for them, and they are really need, to get independent, and to have their decision, And it's too bad, to have a free person, with independent decision, and his decision is not well trained, and most of his decision is going to be really a disaster, for himself, and for his family. So here, he put it, Imam Ghazali, as a way of training ourselves, to govern the other, to train the other. About the problems, of nikah, we'll speak them briefly, and then stop here, because I feel they are important. And just I highlighted them, that the problem, the first one, incapacity, of earning halal money. Okay? And nowadays, you have the fatwa, of interest and other, or someone will work for an illegal company or this or that, This one of the major problem, how you are going to spend your money from legal or illegal. The second one, intolerance, okay, that he will not tolerate his wife the way the Prophet ﷺ used, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described him, عرف بعضه وأعرض عن بعض. This is, I look at it as way of tolerance, from his side, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the third one, to have himself, busy with his wife and his children, to the extent that they may take him away of being busy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll stop here, inshallah. If there's any question, let's try to answer some of the questions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ. You repeated it frequently, okay, per day. رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ. Inshallah, we have children.
So I mentioned the first one, if two people are considering to get married and are told by their teacher they should, but a parent, in brackets mother, for selfish reasons is stopping them getting married, what advice would you give them? Would they lose blessing because the mother doesn't want it?
These young persons, after 30 or 40 years, they will be the parents. And they are going to go through the same experience. Okay? So whatever you would like to go by, try to have it done, to your parents. Okay? Basically, the Prophet ﷺ emphasized a lot, in obeying your parents. This I look at as the case. Perhaps, as he mentioned in that particular hadith about that woman, and he said, divorce her, he said, I love her, he said, keep her, okay? If you have something, which is overwhelming, and you cannot stay, this may be expressed, by many of us, but this is not the case. It's not true. Nowadays, I hardly find any real lover, We love the maslahah, we love the benefit, We don't love person, for himself, That's why you are going to find someone else, So by him, I go much more, by the parents, Unless he reached the point when the Prophet ﷺ said, that person told the Prophet, Inni uhibba, said, then keep her, Even though that woman, apparently was very bad one, but he cannot stay without her. If this is the case, that's it, if I want to make it, but don't take this decision by yourself, Weigh the advantages and disadvantages. Okay? I know, perhaps, I'm not quite sure, if someone, prohibited of getting married to this woman, he will commit suicide. And for sure, I'm not going to tell him, go and commit suicide, I don't care. No. Here, weigh the advantage, and that's why I said, don't take your decision by yourself, because usually we are deviated, We are not straight, to know what is the proper decision. Yes.
See, another question is, person is asking if his mother and wife keep fighting, what should he do?
This is a test from Allah. This is the human nature, okay? I'm not telling you this is good, but this is the human nature. General, you have this problem. I look at the man to be a man here, okay? Yani, what do I mean by this, You should be the barrier between them, okay? You should have the least exposure to each other, okay? And you shouldn't convey anything mentioned by your wife to your mother, or anything mentioned by your mother to your wife, okay? And I know about some silly persons, that, sorry, in our country we say like women, they convey everything, speak about everything and whatever, and this is man and has this bad habit, and he destroyed his life like this, okay? And here, you should be a man like a bear, okay? Have like a dam here, okay? Don't have him, ignore everything. As if you are deaf, and blind, here, when you have this behavior, bad behavior, or bad statement from your wife, or you have it from your mother. By this, I'm not telling you I'm going to take away all the problem, but significant amount of problem is going to be taken away. No more questions? Have questions here? Okay, go ahead and let's have some of the... Muhammad is here to bring these questions. Come here, Muhammad. Busy. طيب, ask us your question.
So earlier on the ladies were asking about women working and things, and you did mention the Industrial Revolution and how it's changed everything. How the Industrial Revolution and how women are working.
Yes.
And also you mentioned things like at the end of times, women will become like men and role reversal and change. It's difficult, but it's easy to understand as well. We live in the West, and now we have this this fitna of independence and freedom, and women find it easier, they can find work, they can find money and financial independence, and then if the man doesn't have a job, and dad doesn't have money, and the woman wants certain materialistic things, it causes a lot of fitna. How much of this is
I'm listening.
social situation? How much of this is the fitna of Akhir Zaman?
I highlighted, in that particular hadith when I said, "Umurukum ila nisaikum." We have another hadith. The Prophet ﷺ gave 15 signs. Among them, when the person is going to make his friend close to him and his father away of him, and he's going to obey his wife and disobey his mother. There's another hadith narrated by Tirmidhi. Okay. So here, don't expect me in one setting, or one session, to resolve this problem, At least I want everyone, in this hall feel that this is a problem and we live it, okay? And some of it, or more than some of it, it's contradict with our religion. As a religious person, you shouldn't have it, take place, in this, in your setting, as a husband or as a wife or whatever, of that regard. So we should be aware about it. We have a question here. What is the ruling on cousin marriage in Islam? First cousin is permitted. Okay, some book they said it's not highly recommended, but it's permitted. Okay, what is good dua for marriage? The same dua. I've tried it, with some of our friends. رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْنِي فَرْدًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْوَارِثِينَ. Inshallah, this work, Or رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. In Western world, children get married without their parents' permission. What is your opinion? What's the legal ruling if there are any? According to Hanafi madhab, any adult, when he had the decision, to get married to an adult, and they are equal in their compatibility, this is, in the court, is going to be valid. But here, it's not still valid, but This is not the recommendation given to us by the Prophet ﷺ or by Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq or by Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab. We have these stories, from the Prophet ﷺ. He has some hadith, some prophetic statement from Sayyidina Abu Bakr and from Sayyidina Umar, which give an important and serious look, to the parents. A person came to Sayyidina Abu Darda. He said, my father wants me to divorce my wife. He said, I'm not going to tell you to divorce or not divorce, but I'm going to tell you what I have heard from the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, the parents, they are the central gate to heaven. So it's up to you if you want to keep up this or take it away. Again, I'm going to remind everyone, those young people, who have this decision, without the parent, permission, one day they will be parents, Perhaps they don't feel a lot, about it, but to be honest, if they love their children, they are going to feel bad, in their heart because of this. Other questions؟ انتهى الوقت؟ طيب. ادعو لنا سيدي أنت إمام كبير.
لا استغفر الله منكم سيدي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله المنعم المفضل الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. سبحانك يا ربنا لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد الصادق الأمين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد في الأولين، وصل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد في الآخرين، وصل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد في النبيين، وصل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد في المرسلين، وصل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وجزه عنا بما هو أهله في كل لحظة أبدا عدد خلقك ورضا نفسك وزنة عرشك ومداد كلماتك كلما ذكرك الذاكرون وفي عن ذكره الغافلون. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك من عبدك ونبيك سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك من عبدك ونبيك سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل، ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والعافية الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. اللهم اجعلنا من عبادك الأبرار واجعلنا من عبادك المقربين. اللهم أصلح أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم فرج الكرب عن أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اجمع على الهدى أمر أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اغفر لأمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ارحم أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم رحمة عامة. اللهم أعز أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم انصر أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم أغث أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اجبر أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم يا من لطفت في خلق السماوات والأرض ولطفت بالجنة في بطون أمهاتها، الطف بنا وبسائر المسلمين في قضائك وقدرك لطفا يليق بك وبك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أسمعنا خيرا وأطلعنا خيرا ورزقنا الله العافية ودام علينا وجمع الله قلوبنا على التقوى ووفقنا لما يحبه ويرضاه. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا معنا ولا إلينا شقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب والأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم عطف علينا قلب حبيبك الأعظم سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ارزقنا زيارته وشفاعته في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ثبت قلوبنا على محبته واستعملنا بسنته وقرفنا بطلعته وتوفنا على ملته واحشرنا في زمرته ولا تحل بيننا وبينه واسقنا بيده الشريفة شربة هنيئة مريئة لا نظمأ بعد أبدا يا رب العالمين، واجعلنا من أولى الناس به وأقربهم منه منزلا، واغفر اللهم لنا ولوالدينا ولمشايخنا ومن له حقا علينا ولسائر المسلمين أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا بجاه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة.